now that we've learned the terminology that has to do with electricity, we're going to apply that using some mathematics. So later on Blackboard, you're going to have some practice problems using some of these formulas. These will also appear on your quiz and your test for electricity. So make sure that you get these formulas down in your notes so that you can learn them. Okay, so if we're trying to find watts, so watts on this is always going to be a W, volts will always be a V, amps will always be an A, and ohms will be either spelled O-H-M-S or will just be represented with a O. Our first formula, watts equals volts times amps. Next we have volts equals watts divided by amps, and amps equals watts divided by volts. Now what you can see with these three formulas, if really and truthfully, if you're pretty good at algebra, if you can remember this top formula, that watts equals VA, volts times amps, you can really figure out the other formulas based on that same formula. Alright, amps are going to equal volts divided by resistance. This formula right here for finding amps, this is known as Ohm's law. And it was a scientific law that was developed in a way to calculate amps. What is an ohm? An ohm is just a volt divided by amps. Alright, so that's how you figure out that. Okay, if we give you a problem where you're having to calculate the cost of electricity, you take the cost per kilowatt, and remember a kilowatt is 1,000 watts. You multiply that times the number of kilowatts that you have, and you multiply that times your hours of work. So make sure you look at your practice problems, use your formulas, and complete those practice problems to make sure you understand how to calculate electricity.